Alright, I'm going to go ahead and go over the basics of everything that we've done on the new world so far. Starting with from the very beginning. This is where we started on this world. This is the most difficult area by default because you're in a desert and everything is far away. So starting off, this is something that Adam built. This is like the most basic of basic factories you can make. So he's got iron coming from that deposit going here to these two machines, and iron coming from this deposit going to those two machines, which then turn the iron into ingots, which then turns the ingots into bars, plates, whatever you want to call them. And there are going to be a little bit of glitches because he's hosting, not me, visually. And here's some more ingots being turned into some other stuff. So these bars are then being turned into screws, and then all the stuff combines into these chests right here where we can grab what we need. So we've got plates, rods, screws. These are all basic building materials needed for other things. I think I might have seen there he is right there running around. So my first factory, while he was doing iron, I was doing copper over here. So I only had one node while he had two. So I've got my one copper node right here. It is of a higher quality though, which then turns into copper bars, which then turns into either copper sheets going that way or copper wire, which then turns into cable, which is used for doing electricity stuff. Yep, not going to spend too much time on this. Because this video would be like a million hours if I showed every little instance. Here's my crappy house that I made. Very nice lighting. Very cool. Have my objectives over here on the wall. Very old objectives. Got to flex on Adam. Alright. This is my second factory over here. That's making rotors, which is kind of a little higher up part. It's very messy because this is early game and we didn't have all the stuff we could use. Like I had to use this instead of actual stairs. So yeah, the same, I'm using iron, and, here, let's see if I can figure out where everything's at. It's been a while. So, I guess the bottom floor? So yeah, the iron comes in down here, that turns into the ingots, goes up, and then the ingots get turned into, the beams, and more beams, which then go up here, and oh, we've got even more beams, so I've got the iron coming up on multiple levels, and all of this is turning into beams and screws, which are then combined into the rotors over here, which are a little more complicated crafting part, and going over that box. A lot of them were also being sunk, so if you have too much of a resource, you can sink it into these machines, which then give you tickets so you can buy more cosmetic things, like railings and different materials to build with and stuff like that, which we have everything at this point. Let's see, this is one of his factories over here. He always said these, like early game factories were just temporary. We might end up scrapping all of this for a more official looking type thing. But he made this. This is a steel factory. So you have to combine the iron with coal and it makes steel, which these are steel ingots going right here. And this is being made into a bunch of steel products. So he's got steel beams and steel pipes. And they're all being stored right here for now. You could also get the encased beams, which that's a little bit of clipping right there when you have something go into itself. That's called clipping, which is something we usually try to avoid doing, but like I said, these are temporary. So he has these encased beams, they're called, also being sent here. So as you go along further in the game, there's more and more complicated materials that involve more resources being combined to make. As far as this area, that's the bulk of it. There's some other stuff, but it's not very impressive to look at. Like this is a temporary thing right here that's making some other part. I don't even know what. Yeah, see eventually, so it goes from where initially these are the constructors, no, this is actually an assembler. So you see how it has two slots in the back? That means it takes two parts to make a third new part. But then after the assembler is the manufacturer, which can take up to 4 parts to make one part. So it just gets more and more complicated as you go along. And right now we're waiting on this so we can upgrade the space elevator and get some access to some new things, which we're actually just about there. So I'm going to move on to, let's go with one of the other things I did in this area. So this is a truck station right here. And this makes, we were moving things around via truck because I've got stuff all over here that needed to be moved around from far away. I've got a, like, all the resource nodes, like, we just got lucky that all the iron and stuff was all in the same area. Some things, like, Caterium, which is kind of like gold, is far away, so to get it back and forth, I had a truck that was moving those things back and forth from there to here. And I've also got, in this direction, a quartz factory that is used for a lot of things, but those are kind of the less mainstream resources early game compared to iron and copper, which are used in pretty much everything. So let me show the first major factory that I made that took quite a while. Like, it pretty much was a whole day to make this thing. And yes, there are vehicles and stuff like that. I'll go over this in a little bit. This is something else I made. Oh, over here, while I'm on the way, is another iron factory that Adam made. I think that and that are both related to iron, just special iron parts, like frames and maybe reinforced plates, which is plates and screws combined. And I am hiding my UI right now. With the UI on, there's markers telling you where everything is, but it just looks nice and clean having it all open. The map, by the way, is absolutely massive. We just happen to start in the desert area, but there's all kinds of different environments across the map that we'll see whenever I use that thing over there. So this is the first major factory I made. This thing took, like I said, it took about a whole day to make this thing over here. And it all ends up for kind of a small amount of resources, but it's just all the things that go into making it. So let me get out. If it'll let me, there we go. I must have had to put my UI up for it. So in this one building, you can see all these nasty conveyor belts over here. I've got, so we've got copper right here coming in, going up the sides. Quartz, crystal, going up to the top level. And on this side, iron going in there and there from two separate nodes, actually. I've got two nodes of iron, but they are underclocked, which means they produce less per minute. Everything is calculated per minute. So in this room, I've got my iron split 3 ways and my coal split a couple ways, which is another thing that's coming in, coal. And then I've got all my iron over here being split like that. And then all these, this is all making plates over here, and this is all making screws. Then the screws, which I did a little bit of clipping right here, get combined into making the reinforced iron plates, which are plates and screws attached. They look like that. So then on the next floor, this is where all the copper is coming in. So the copper gets split 3 ways into ingots, then goes over here. This splits it, or this merges it, then splits it to where half is going here, which is then split 3 ways again, and another half is going over there, which gets split 3 ways again. So they're all equal. This is making copper wire, nothing but copper wire, which then gets combined again and turned into cable, which then gets sent along all the way back to here. Then split 2 ways for convenience as it goes up to the next floor. Alright, and then this is the final floor, where all the things come together. So I've got the plates, the cable, and the quartz. And this wiring up here is nasty, and it can't be avoided. At this stage, I didn't have the stuff to make it look clean. But yeah, all these things get split between all these manufacturers, which this draws a lot of power. And these are all making crystal oscillators. They're like these little dishes, which are, it's a pretty high tier resource. So that one and that one, it goes around. See, there they are right there. And then this one and that one and that one. But they're all being combined into this one conveyor, which then goes back down to the front and put in the box down there. And these things are actually used in a lot of different things. So each machine is making one per minute, and I've got, I believe, 6. So we're getting 6 of these things per minute. Yep, that was the first major big project I had to do, and it was a kind of a pain, but it served us well because these oscillators are used in a bunch of other things, like computers right here. We have them combining with circuit boards to make computers early game, which is the thing that Adam's been working on now in a more big way of doing it. So like we have this whole box full of these things, which, you know, if we have excess, they get sunk into this thing, which gives us the tickets. Right now we have 19. Pretty much, we've bought everything except for the extra statues you get late game. So, let me go on and show another project. How about I show Adam's first coal power plant over here on this world. Everything requires power. So, you have to make sure to make good, efficient power plants to power all your factories you make later on. And, you know, the more complicated parts there are, the more power they draw. So here's Adam's first coal plant right here that got us started early on to have a decent, steady source of power. Because before that, you have to burn like leaves and other stuff to have enough biofuel to run all of your machines. So these are refineries. The difference between refineries and the other things is they use liquid to run off of. So to use a coal plant, you have to have water. So he's got water from this little kind of lake-ish river place coming up, and then it's being split between these 4 machines along with the coal, which he's got routed underneath from kind of a ways away. Here's the little secret way to go look at it. So he's got the coal coming in from the back being split in half and split between all these different refineries to make coal power for us. Are these refineries? Oh, they're just coal generators, actually. Yep. And this supplied us with a decent amount of power for quite a while early game. We've got some nice lights. He tried to make it look as nice as he could at the time, but we didn't have as much stuff unlocked as we do now, so kind of minimalist, just walls and doors and a couple of lights, but it still looks nice and clean. He made it organized. And those are batteries to store excess power in case our power grid goes down. These batteries will run to make it stay up for a limited amount of time. So, with that covered, let's go take a look at the first refineries we did, which it was Adam that did the first refineries for plastic and rubber. It requires oil instead of physical resources, so you have to have refineries to turn that oil from a liquid into a solid. And it is a ways away because oil is kind of uncommon in the desert area, so we're going to be approaching more of a... It's still on the edge of the desert, but it's pretty close to a more forested area. Which, this is going to look a lot bigger than you might think for early game, because I also have had to use the same oil for one of my factories. So, this is the area that he made the initial oil production over here. And this is a lot more complicated in comparison to physical things, in my opinion. Like turning physical, like iron and stuff like that. And this is also making, you can also use fuel generators, which that's what these are. So he's got the oil running from, I believe it's under here. Like I said, I wasn't involved in this in any way. This is all stuff he did. So yeah, oil is being pumped right here into these pipes, and then it's going up. And it's also being pumped right there, and once again going up here, and then down there for this one extra machine he had to make for me to help with my thing, because it was not balanced properly. These are also using the oil and turning it into rubber and plastic. Like I mentioned, there's the plastic running. It's kind of backed up a little bit, but you see these machines right here. This is making plastic. It's going back this way and into this other machine, which is making these containers for fuel, and then there's the fuel being sent out. And so here, this is another sink because we had too much. Had a little bit of lag right there. Another thing with refineries is when you make stuff, it has an extra product that it makes. So in this instance, this is being fuel. This is turning into fuel right here, but when it turns into fuel, it also has a byproduct of polymer. So you have to either get rid of it or turn it into something else. In this instance, looks like he sent it to just be sunk instead of turning it into something else. But it does take water usually, and there's no water nearby here in the desert except for way over there where that's something I built. So right next to his, I used one of his nodes of oil, which this is one of my little pets right here, to turn into turbo fuel. This is way later in the game, and of course I didn't really make it look nice because these things are so huge. I find it kind of difficult. It's just kind of a box, but let's go over the way all this worked. So these are all kind of in a row. Let me go around. I'm gonna not spoil anything by looking down. So the oil comes from back here, goes in here, split 3 ways. This then turns it into heavy oil residue and polymer. So the polymer is being shipped out that way. I'll get to that in a minute. And the heavy oil residue is going straight ahead to these machines, which then make turbo fuel, which is a way more efficient fuel for vehicles and stuff like that. Then it goes up and gets packaged right here in these machines, which then goes down the side into a kind of waterfall and gets stored here, and the excess gets sunk. I am going to have a truck station here as well for this stuff, but I just haven't set it up yet. Another thing about this, though, is for the turbo fuel, it needs compacted coal to make, in addition to just regular heavy oil residue. So I have this truck station right here, which there's a truck that constantly goes back and forth from this other factory I made and dumps the compacted coal right here to go into the 3 machines. Oh, and here's my little house that I have in this area as well. I'll show it off real quick. So I've got my goals over here. Oh, you can hear the truck. It's coming right now. There it is, dumping the coal. It was broken for a while until the latest update, but now it's fixed, which I'm very happy about. We have plans to make a big road network in this area. So yeah, I've got my pet slug on the floor. I've got my couch right here, made out of beams. Got my Xbox. Got my super buggy driver 4. Very cool. And I've got a balcony with some other stuff over here. There it goes, that beautiful truck on its way to go get more heavy compacted coal. I'm going to skip ahead. I could show a little more on this, but it would take forever. Basically, the polymer gets sent over there and gets turned into the casings to package the stuff, because it needs plastic. So to skip over that, I'm just going to head over to this other area where our compacted coal and my latest project were done. And after that, I'll go over to Adam's area and show what he's been working on. I'll have to head back to the main base to show that off, though, because I have a kind of a shortcut to get over there. Also, riding these lines is definitely not the fastest mode of transportation, but I do find it kind of satisfying. So as you can see, we're kind of transferring from a more deserty area to kind of a more green, lush area over here. You can already see my latest project from way over here. That's my statter tower over there. I hadn't seen it since I finished it last. That's my latest thing. There's the truck glitching its way over here, but I'll briefly go over this before everything else. So for the compacted coal, you need sulfur and coal. So the sulfur comes from way up there, goes across over here to down there, and the coal comes from straight across and goes in here as well. They get combined, Let's just say magic happens in this box, and then they end up either coming up to this level or going straight across to the other level and turning into compacted coal, which then gets sent in here, and then it gets sent to the truck station, but it also functions as fuel for the truck itself. That was the thing that wasn't working, but luckily they fixed it, so now this truck is limitless from its own cargo, being going back and forth, bringing this compacted coal for the turbo fuel refinery. But now I will go ahead and get on to what you're probably wanting to see, which is my latest thing way up there. It does look pretty sick from far away. So this is actually a low tier item. It's not anything fancy, but we need them for future stuff. So it's a statter factory. Whoops. I accidentally just took a picture. But yeah, so the that is coal coming up right there, because we need that for part of the process. So coal comes up. Here's a nice view of it. And it goes across, and it's combining with, this is making deuterium, which is kind of like gold, and this is making, which that's a glitch where it still shows the rock, but this is making iron, and it gets sent up, and the coal gets sent around and in right there, and the gold goes all the way up to about halfway. So let me go ahead and show everything. You might be wondering, where's the entrance to this monstrosity? Well, it's actually right here. There's a little jump pad you can use to go right on in. So I'm kind of skipping over the bottom levels. This is all below is stuff you've already seen. Each level of this tower has 4 machines on it. The bottom level is foundries making steel. And this level is turning the steel into pipes. And then the pipes are being sent up to the next level. This level is the deuterium, the gold. So the gold comes in, gets split to the front and the right. Half of it goes here, half of it goes there, and then it gets sent once again out and up through a tube. And the next level, all that deuterium gets combined in the back of these machines, which once again 4 machines, and gets turned all into deuterium wire, which is kind of the next evolution of the copper wire. Next level up from that is actually the final level, and which once again this building took super long to make, but I'm just going over really quick for the sake of time. The deuterium gets combined with the steel pipes to make stators. And then the stators all go up again and get combined from the 4 machines, from the back and the front, and go right back down to the front and get deposited in this box right here. But yeah, that was a fun little project. I kind of restricted myself to only build in a small area. This whole thing is 6x6 tiles, which is pretty tiny, except for the top, of course, where it kind of flares out. But yeah, we're getting a good, I think, 40 of these per minute or something like that. And they'll be used for sure in a later project. I might have a truck that takes these to somewhere else where we need them. So, with that out of the way, let me go ahead and warp on over to where my car is, and I can show you what Adam's been doing. I actually forgot to show the hole, if you will, which is another big factory I did. I don't know how I managed to forget. You can actually see part of it from here. But this is actually making heavy modular frames, which is a high-tier iron/steel resource that we needed at the time, and still do for a lot of things. And I built it over here. It's kind of in the very top corner of the map. It's a it was a pretty big project. This also took like about a day or two. First day for that building over there, which is all the steel, and second day for everything else, which I'm about to show. Oh god, I'm going a little too fast. Okay. So, this area is the very epic entryway to get your these things, but the way it all works is this area is all like a big hole in the ground, which had a bunch of resource nodes littered around it. So the iron goes down there, gets with water, and gets turned into iron ingots, which then comes up and goes across to the steel factory over here. Well, actually, no, there's two nodes, so some of the iron gets sent straight to the steel factory. The other gets spread out up here around this ring, but I'm going to go over that last since it's the last step. You can also see all this stuff being transferred from this building. So this building is another steel type factory. I'm going to start from the bottom. I don't know if I can get down there, but basically in here, all that happens is coal comes in from the back, steel or iron comes in from the front. They get combined into steel ingots, like you've seen many times now at this point. And then the ingots come up, and they get all turned into steel pipes up here. And then some go this way to get turned into encased beams, and then some go this way, ended up going straight to the heavy modular frame maker. The next floor up, some of the pipes come up here and get combined with concrete, and they turn into the encased beams I was talking about. This whole area, I put a little bit more detail into the aesthetics and everything. I've got beams on the ceiling and fancy windows and everything. It's a pretty cool little area. Oh, and I also forgot to show one thing on the bottom floor, which is this little balcony right here, which is pretty nice, and you can see everything else from way up here. What happens here is the pipes and the encased get combined, sent back over here, and they go into the back of this machine in the middle. But before I get to that, the other iron gets sent up from below in those refineries and all turned into screws right here. A really staggering amount. And some of it, a little less of it, gets turned into plates here on this upper level. And then everything goes around and gets combined. Some of it here in this machine, which is making the reinforced plates that you should come to feel familiar with at this point. Then some of the screws come over here, get split between these two machines, which combine with the plates from earlier and get turned into these modular frames. So then finally, yes, the modular frames, pipes, and encased beams, and concrete from below all get combined into making these heavy modular frames. And right now I've got it set where half of them get sunk because this box was full at the time. I did some fancy lights and stuff here to make it look very epic as you approach, but yeah, that project took a minute. Oh, what happened to one of my signs? I'll fix that real quick. These are actually signs clipped into the ground to look cool. There we go. Now I can head over to Adam's area, and I'll let him take over and show everything we need to know about his big project he's been working on for days. It's a very fancy area over there. So let me go ahead and unmute so you can hear me again. All right. I'm heading over to your area right now. I'm about to show off the tube, and you can give us the tour. This tube right here is kind of an exploit that's been around for a while, but, I mean, it's more of a feature than an exploit, really. If you combine these things, they can send you a ridiculous distance. Since his place is so far away, I made one that goes straight over there, and one that goes back so we can get back over to the desert real easy. And this is also going to look very epic. Unfortunately, I only have 9 jetpack fuel left, so hopefully I'll make it, but let's go ahead and flip it on and go to Adamville. Oh, where are you at right now? I kind of overshot it. Oh, no. Oh, man, it sent me way too far. Oh. Oof. It killed me. I don't even know why. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, you changed it a little bit in here. It's like a store now with no lights. Oh, there it is. It's pretty cool. When did you do this? Let's see if I can make it this time. Oh, that's one of my fuel refineries over there, by the way. I'm not even going to show it. There's not much to it. There's the other launcher for the way back. And this is all 100% Atom. I haven't done any of this stuff over here at all. But it is fancy. I'm just not going to say anything so that in the audio you'll be properly leveled, so... pretty epic. Should we go activate the space elevator? We've been gathering the resources for a proper launch to make our way to the next level in the world, and I think we're just about ready to send everything off. And there's only one way to get back there, of course. We've got yet another of my patent pending shoop de whoops. I'm just gonna smack into this thing. I almost died. Oh, it's ready. Did you hit the button? Alright, I guess I'll hit the button. Oh, no, I'm gonna die. Danger. So we're sealing all these things we made. Now we're gonna send them off. Yep, now we're gonna have to worry about aluminum, other stuff, hazmat suits, drones, hover packs, and then lastly, nuclear, which is just a blast to work with, isn't it? Well, I guess that's it for now. This is the our beautiful world Koi, full of magic and wonder. Oh yeah, got the best prices for let's see your items. For the single oscillator. Yeah, it is Black Friday almost. Yes, it's I can imagine so. You've only got one thing of screws. Like, how many is this? 300? I mean, that's a respectable amount.